Do you want to lead the charge with our introductions?
Sure. How would you like me to introduce you?
You mean how do you want to
Uh,
do this?
yeah. Oh, that was good. Okay. Hello, this is Pretty Guardian, and I am so excited to be here tonight for two reasons. Number one, I am joined by my good friend Derek, aka I am the one who nerds from the bonus commentary channel on YouTube. And tonight we are talking about one of my favorite shows, that is Critical Role and their animated series, The Legend of Vox Machina. We're going to be talking about season 1 and season 2.
Hell yeah! I am so pumped. I'm actually wearing my Critical Role t-shirt right now. I have my little Chibi Mighty 9 above me, as always. I am so stoked to get into what is up there as one of my new favorite animated series.
That's awesome. And for the people listening right now, Derek has the most beautiful Critical Role art on his walls. I'm so
Oh
jealous.
my goodness. To begin, I jumped on with Vox Machina. Vox Machina is my team of choice when it comes to Critical Role. Not to say that I don't like the other teams, but you remember your first, right?
Absolutely.
And I got all the merch I could afford, which was the posters, the art books. I got, there's just a bunch of stuff. I was there from episode 50, and then obviously I backtracked and got caught up, which was weird because that was when they started doing the live action intros, and they were like, oh yeah, there's some people that did our makeup, and I knew some of the makeup people on that. I was like, god
Oh,
damn
that's
it.
cool too.
I got to meet the cast once, a majority of the cast, and they are just as lovely. I was at the Renaissance Pleasure Fair, and I was waiting outside the Oubliette. It was my first ever Ren Fair. And I was having a blast. Everybody was like, hey, Critical Role, yeah!
Hey.
Yay! And I'm standing in line, and you could practically feel, when you can feel a commotion?
Oh, yeah.
I turn around, and I couldn't believe my fucking eyes. I'd been day drinking, so I wasn't sure. So it was, I would say, almost all of them. I think the only one missing was Sam that day. And I got to talk to Ashley, and I got to talk to Matt.
You got to talk to them?
I got to talk to them. I don't fangirl a lot, but that God, I don't even fucking care. That was great. Freaking, of all people, Taliesin Jaffe. Okay, so here's the scenario, right? Is I'm wearing the shirt, and I'm trying to keep it cool.
Oh, yeah.
But I am very clearly wearing the red t-shirt with the giant red letters that read Critical Role. They know. They see me. And I'm trying to be like, okay, what do I do to, I respect them a lot. So, what do I do? Do I go and talk to them, or do I let them enjoy their day? There's already people talking to them, whatever. And Taliesin, when I do eventually, start talking to them, Taliesin grabs me by the neck, very not like grab like Homer Simpson grab, but chummy, puts his arm around me and goes, I want you to know that there was a moment where I was deciding whether or not I was going to come up to you, and I was like, what the hell?
That's too funny.
They're super chill. It was so much fun. As if that wasn't enough. I was already a critter then. That sealed the deal. Yeah, and I was...
How gracious of Taliesin to just pull you in and kind of get rid of any awkwardness that could have been there.
And I was so awkward. I was so awkward.
I would have been the same. So there's celebrities out there that I would be really excited to see. And then there's celebrities out there that I would be floored to see. And if I saw all of Critical Role together, or even just more than any one of them in one place, I'd be gobsmacked.
It's a memory I don't think I'm ever going to be able to top. But they were fantastic.
That's awesome.
I've been addicted to Critical Role for quite some time. What about you, Maggie? What got you onto Critical Role? What's your crit cred?
That's a great question. So for me, I did come in with the Mighty 9, and I had just finished the Adventure Zone, and I've always been into audio dramas and sort of that whole audio theater of the mind sort of experience. And so I was looking up the Adventure Zone turned me on to actual play podcasts and stuff like that. And so I was like, well, what else out there is like this? Or like, I felt like there was like this whole genre of like shows and entertainment and stuff that I was missing out on. And obviously, if you do a Google search of that, Critical Role is like the first thing that comes up. And I went back and I watched the first episode of the Vox Machina live streams. And it was really hard for me to watch just from a production value sort of standpoint. And that's on me because the cast is amazing. It's just one of those things where it was a little rougher than what I was used to. And so people were like, no, you know what? If production value is your line in the sand, go check out campaign 2 and start with that one and see how you feel about it. And so I came in at campaign 2 and it blew me away. The voices that they would all do are amazing. The camaraderie at the table, like you could tell that these are people who are just so gracious in the way that they share the joy of storytelling together. And so I've been a fan for years. I think campaign 3, the Bell's Hells, is kind of turning out to be my favorite of the teams so far. But I was really excited for the animated series Legend of Vox Machina on Amazon Prime because it's giving me that opportunity to kind of go back and, you know, see the team that started it all, more or less.
Absolutely. The Kickstarter, they had 88,887 backers and pledged, all of them pledged $11 million.
Yeah, that's what I read. 11.3 million. That's huge.
Yeah, which I am one of them.
Oh, good job.
Yeah, what can I say?
Thank you for bringing this joy into my life.
Yes, you can thank solely me. No, the second they announced it, I remembered that was like, yeah, no, this is where my money is going. I think I donated 100. I knew that we were going to get a series. Like, they kept saying animated short.
Oh, wow.
And my brain just auto-translated that to, we're getting an animated series. The outpouring of support, their response to it is perfect. It's just them just like with hands on temples going, oh my God, you guys gave so much so fast.
Right. I feel like for a long time growing up, I was really starved for like really high quality fantasy media. And now we live in this age where there's so much of it out there, but a lot of it is really just like, let's be honest, like corporate bullshit from like Netflix and HBO Max and a lot of these other streaming companies. And so for a team that has such a genuine connection with their source material and with their audience to come together and say like, hey, we want to do even just like an animated short, I think it's amazing. And I can easily see why so much of the community would come together to be like, no, we need to make this happen. Let's get them as much as they can, because these are people who are going to be good stewards of the property.
Absolutely. There are things that happen in the series that obviously are different from the actual show, but it's done in a way where you see instances of the missing content, so to speak, played out respectfully. Also, the fact that we get to hear these people that are professional voice actors play their characters again. And at this point, it had been a few years since they had played each of their characters respectively. So to actually get into it for them must have been a lot of fun, like just an amazing experience.
I can only imagine. So for me coming in with Mighty Nine, I was wondering if you could fill me in on some of the differences that you've observed between the actual play campaign 1 versus what we've seen in The Legend of Vox Machina so far.
Sure. The biggest one is probably the one that bums me out the most. And I say bums me out, but I completely understand why it happened the way it happened. The missing of the Kavarn arc. Kavarn was kind of a pivotal, I believe he's still, well, I don't want to say too much. Because if you don't know what happens in
don't want to spoil
later
it.
on, I don't want to spoil anything for you. Yeah, but Kavarn was a beholder in the Underdark that the team goes down to fight. That arc was what got me to like continued to listening to the show, because I got like the low production quality. I got the full shebang, but like I loved it. There's a bit at the end of the arc when the Underdark is starting to collapse around them, and Grog is like running towards a portal or something. And I was at work listening to these at the time, and I remember I had to fight the urge to stand up and like shout like it was a football game, and Grog was like going across the 20, the 10. It was so exciting, and just to like hear them all work together. And again, I was listening to it primarily, so I didn't get to like see it play out, but to know that was missing was a big bummer. But again, I completely understand why it is that we didn't get to see it. So with you mostly knowing the Mighty Nine, what characters of Vox Machina are the most surprising to you? Because I know that there are huge changes in terms of personality for some of these characters.
There's a few that have been really stand out to me. I would say Grog is somebody who I wasn't expecting to like as much as I have been, just because on paper, I feel like he would just be this stereotypical Goliath barbarian, not really much else there. But first off, he's such a pleasant person, the way he's so supportive and loving of the team. And then also Travis Willingham does the most incredible job with his like screams and grunts and just kind of bringing a life to this character that I don't feel like I really see in a lot of barbarian media and stuff, like characters like him that we've seen so far. Mm-hmm. And then the other standout for me, I think, would be Scanlan. In season 1, upon first meeting him, he really does kind of come across as just like that playboy bard, kind of silly, maybe a little arrogant. And I didn't like him or connect with him. But throughout the series, I've kind of grown to really appreciate not just his musical talent, but like the depth of his character that's there. I think he's one of the more multifaceted and real characters on the team.
Totally. I completely understand what you're talking about. I think in terms of like character to character, I think the transition from Keyleth to Bo from Marisha was so staggering. She goes from like Keyleth, even in like her later years, like she becomes a little bit more confident. She's never as confident as Bo like lets on. So to see that was superb. And Keyleth is probably one of my favorite characters in the series and the show. Also, I gotta say that again, going from like extremes here was Ashley's Pike to Yasha.
Oh yeah, that's a big change.
Just like there's such a big gap in like who like that particular character type, but like those are some of my favorites for sure.
How far along are you with the Mighty Nine?
I don't want to get too far into personal life struggles. Short version is I'm a little under halfway through Mighty Nine. They're just on their way to go visit an old friend up at a particular mountaintop somewhere, and he knows
have they explored Not the Brave's backstory at all yet?
Yes, they had restored her.
Okay. So I will tell you that in campaign 2, there is that scene where they're like going to her husband's workshop, and she has this moment of like, where's my son? Like, and everybody just kind of like pauses, like, what the fuck are you talking about? Not has a son? Like, what? And the way that Sam played that whole scene was one of the most moving scenes that I've ever like experienced in an actual play podcast.
Sam knows what to do. He's so good.
Yeah.
it's hard to argue. And like, I don't know how else to describe it. The guy just exudes I feel like he exudes character, and then like gameplay elements kind of come second.
Right.
But you wouldn't know that. He just, kind of skipping ahead here. Speaking of pure talent, we're talking about. I want to talk about the music real quick.
Oh yes.
For season 1, Neil Acree and Mr. Fantastic, along with Sam Riegel, make the soundtrack so memorable. I gotta say that I still get goosebumps, and I wish I could be exaggerating. I wish I could make myself sound cool, but the fact of the matter is that the intro still gives me goosebumps.
Same.
It's so cool to hear that song that has gone through basically since like the starting of the show. It has taken multiple forms, but like to hear it now in like this grandiose version. Oh my God. I think I got
They took it to the next level.
I think I got a little bit of goosebumps there. And like some of the jokes like that Sam is able to write for Scanlan in this particular instance, when they're on Scanlan's hand and they're raising it up and he's like, oh God, you guys are so heavy. Wait a minute. Heavy. And he starts playing like heavy metal guitar riffs.
Yeah.
Genius.
That was so good. For music, the way that they took that theme song to the next level is absolutely phenomenal. I'm with you 100% on that. And kind of tying into that was the whole fight against the Storm Dragon, which for me was one of the most memorable scenes in season 1. I think it was just incredible animation. But one of the things that made it so great was how that theme song was underscoring the whole fight. I felt like each component of what we were watching was kind of working together in a way that you don't really see that often in animated shows.
I really like how they treated the Briarwoods, the kind of sinister overtones in the music for the Briarwoods.
It was so good.
Oh, God. That's how you do like high fantasy vampires. Like that was awesome. For season 1, the animation styles. What do you think about when you think of the animation for season 1?
The animation was really good. I feel like they were referential as far as like pulling in influences from anime, different animated series, Dungeons and Dragons material. Like there were a lot of different things that they were pulling into their style that were just done so well. Like there was that scene where I'm going to be explaining this badly, but those like shadow beings were like running into their bodies and stuff, and then they would zoom in on Keyleth's eyes looking around, and
oh my God.
Just like some of the little details that they slipped in there were amazing.
So admittedly, it's been a couple of years since I've listened to the podcast, but I don't remember that scene at all. So when they threw that in there, the adaptation of those shadow creatures trying to steal the book, that was new to me, and I loved it. I loved every second of it, because it was like, what is happening right now? This is crazy. And like the animation of the dude getting pulled into the wall and then just grated away was terrifying. I was like, what is happening?
And they never shied away from beating up the main characters either, which was kind of fun to see in a series. Because a lot of times the heroes are the heroes and they always just seem to come out on top. But we actually see this crew struggle and grow, and that's awesome.
Yeah, I think we'll see a lot more. We'll see them grow a lot more, and I think by the time we wrap this series, we'll see them go up against a god and like come out looking like they did when they fought in their first tavern brawl. And yeah, the animation was so staggering. The opening bit with the heroes that are like supposed to be the heroes we deserve, they just immediately get TPK'd.
Fried.
They just get fried, splattered. It didn't matter. They were. I honestly think it's impressive that, and I applaud it, that they went as graphic and as violent as they did, because it's super easy to forget that when you're talking about attacking someone, you're properly chopping them in half, and the animation never shies away from that. And that's what I find to be most impressive.
And they showed us that right away. They jumped right into some of those more gruesome bits of animation. And for me, that also like kind of sets up the rest of the series. Like they were basically telling the audience, okay, this is going to be a show that's for adults and a little bit different from what you've probably seen so far.
My only complaint, I will say, and I think it's something that they address in season 2, is just how fast paced everything is. Even as a fan of the show, like I knew it was coming, but it was still coming at a rapid pace. And then when we get the cliffhanger to season 2, it doesn't feel as earned as what we get. I feel like they addressed that, so they know and they fixed it. But it was just something that, like, one of the few negatives I can give to the show.
For me, the pacing of season 1 was definitely my biggest detractor. The way that the scenes were set up, for me, it almost felt kind of erratic. Like they were just kind of jumping from plot point to plot point without anything really connecting the threads. And obviously they had like a very daunting task of condensing hundreds of hours of live play into the series that, you know, if you break up or connect all the episodes into one, this is really only a few hours of animation. So I was kind of like, okay, well, everything else is so good that I'm willing to kind of forgive that. And they definitely do resolve that in season 2 because the plot is so much smoother and just well thought out and cared for in season 2.
Absolutely. Yeah. I will say that is very true. Is how much content they had to condense into, what was it, 11, 12 episodes?
Yes.
That's pretty staggering. And to also give the animation team was able to put in nods and winks to quite a lot, actually. It's not like it was a bad thing. Again, I understand, but here's a negative I can give to the show. Those are very small things in the grand scheme of everything that we get.
My cousin, when he was first introducing me to Dungeons and Dragons, he jokingly, tongue-in-cheek, described it as 30 minutes of adventure spread out across 4 hours. And so just thinking about the 100+ episodes of Campaign 1, even if they find the 30 minutes in each of those, that's still way more adventure than they have the capacity to get animated for us.
Absolutely.
So I definitely understand what happened, and I'm with you on it.
We'll go ahead and call it there for The Legend of Vox Machina Season 1. Now, we're going to talk about Season 2 over on Maggie's channel. That's Pretty Guardian here on YouTube. And she talks about video game stuff. She's been talking about her run-ins with CRPGs. Go ahead and give her a follow. Go over and check her out. You could also check us both out at Nerd Cage Live, where we are personalities and we talk about other nerdy stuff. That's Pretty Guardian over on YouTube for the Season 2 discussion. And Nerd Cage Live for all your nerdy needs.